Hi, I'm Nadine Whitehead. Welcome to my life of baking. And today I am making salted caramel brownies. And this is a recipe that my granddaughter chose to make, and I'm real excited about it. The first step that I'm going to make is the caramel that's going to go into the brownies. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a can of sweetened condensed milk and get that all out of that can. And this is about, believe it's a 14.5 ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little unsulfured molasses, and this is mostly just to add a color, and I'm only adding 2 tablespoons into that. And we are going to add 2 ounces of butter. I've got that cut up so the little cubes will melt a little faster in there. Probably ought to turn my burner on. And I'm going to put in a ½ teaspoon of salt. All right. And then we're going to bring this to a boil. And that should happen fairly quickly. It'll probably take about a minute. And everything's going to melt together. Just get it stirred for a second. I'm going to let it sit for a minute and start letting the heat come through it. And then once it's boiling, we have to stir it constantly, and we'll stir it for 7 minutes. Okay, this is now coming to a boil. It's been a couple minutes and it's got a pretty strong boil going. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit to just under medium, and I'm going to let my granddaughter come over and start stirring for me. Thank you. And she's going to keep that on the bottom of the pan with a little force. We'll keep a simmer going on that, and we're going to cook it for about 7 minutes. I'm going to set the timer. And we'll watch the timer, and she's just going to keep stirring. You see the burner? Yeah, you got to keep the pan on the burner or it's not going to cook. And when we come back, we're going to put a lid on the caramel and let it sit for a little bit, and we're going to make brownie batter. All right, the timer's just about ready to go. Okay, pull it off the burner. There we go. Wow, that got really thick, didn't it? That looks so good. Turn the burner off, and we'll turn the timer off. And we're gonna take that off the whisk the best we can. And we're gonna set a lid on it just till we're ready for it when we're making the brownies. We're getting ready to make the brownies. So this is the brownie batter, and the first thing we're going to do is melt the chocolate and the unsalted butter. And it's 8 ounces of unsalted butter and 8 ounces of dark baking chocolate. Not chocolate that you'd buy to eat, but the baking chocolate from the baking aisle in the store. So we'll set this in the microwave and put it at small bursts, and then we'll check it and stir it until it's melted. And I'll let that go for a couple minutes, or for about a minute to start with, and stir it, and then we'll put it in for shorter bursts.
What's the difference between using salted and unsalted butter?
When you use unsalted butter, you can control how much salt you want to put in something. If you use salted butter, it already has salt in it and you can't take it out. So it might be too salty when you get done making whatever you're making. So you can always control your own salt by using unsalted butter. I'm gonna give that a quick stir. You can see that the butter's melted, and now it's gonna help that chocolate melt really smooth. We'll stir that up a little bit, get it in a different position, put it back in the microwave. And then when it's done, we're gonna add the brown sugar and the eggs and the vanilla into the chocolate. All right, we've got our chocolate melted in the microwave along with the unsalted butter, and it's really nice and smooth. So now we're gonna mix in the vanilla and the brown sugar and 3 eggs. So I'm gonna have my granddaughter, Brianna, she's gonna break the eggs into the bowl one at a time so I can add them into the chocolate mix. Beautiful. So we're gonna put that in there, get that mixed in, whoops. And I'm gonna add a cup of brown sugar. The vanilla that I added was just a teaspoon of vanilla. All right. Kind of stir this up a little in here this time. Get it started. There we go. And 1 more egg. Oops. Did you get a shell in there?
Yeah, I got some shell in there.
Here, give me an eggshell piece. There you go. Where is it? Oh, I don't see any.
Oh,
No,
apparently I didn't.
no eggshell.
What happens if I did get an eggshell?
Well, then you would take your half a eggshell and you scoop that eggshell out, and it, for some reason, just attracts that little piece, and you can scoop it out with your other eggshell. So, nope, there was no eggshell in there. So we're gonna get this all mixed up. Oh, this chocolate smells so good. Trying to break up that sugar in there, the brown sugar, it's kind of clumpy. Trying to get that all mixed in. Still a couple little pieces of that sugar that we need to get melted into this chocolate and butter. All right, it's getting there. So in the meantime, while I finish stirring this, I'm gonna have Brianna put the flour and the cocoa and the salt into the sifter, and we're gonna sift it onto a piece of parchment paper. And when we do that, that allows us to pick that parchment paper up and just pour it right into the bowl, and we'll have good control of that. So if she wants to measure, we're gonna put a 1/2 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour, and we're gonna put in 1/3 cup of the cocoa and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're gonna get all those ingredients in the sifter and sift those together. And I'm gonna continue on stirring this a little bit more.
Just directly?
Just pour that in there. And then 2 tablespoons. So, and the reason we sift it is we just want, we don't want any little lumps of flour or cocoa to get in here to make, it'll be hard to mix that in if there was chunks in there, so.
So just the flour or all?
Add the cocoa. And that's 1/3 cup of cocoa. There you go. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I think I've got all the sugar and everything mixed into the chocolate. You can see how it's getting real smooth. Okay, then you just pick this up and very gently, you're gonna shake it like this, okay?
Like that?
Keep going. Okay, so we don't want to waste what's left in that sifter. So we're just gonna kind of rub it across and make sure it comes out on the other side a nice little powder. So you wanna do that? Okay. Because we don't wanna waste any of that cocoa flavor or anything that's going into these dark, chewy brownies. And I don't think that salt's gonna go through there no matter how hard we scrub, so that's okay. We got enough salt in there. All right, set that over here. Now, we're gonna pick this up, and since it's on the parchment paper, we can just pick this up like this, and it just pours right into that batter. And then we'll just gently stir that in.
Can I throw this away?
Yes, you may. I think my bowl's just about not big enough, but we'll get it. All right, and it's ready to go in the pan. You don't want to stir brownie mix too much. You don't want to over stir it. Maybe about 40 to 50 strokes, and that keeps your brownie mix nice and tender, and you'll have a real good brownie when you bake it. Okay, we are going to put this in the pan, and I'm taking the spoon out, and I'm going to use a rubber scraper so I get it all out of that bowl. Would you throw that in the sink for me, please? All right. And we're not going to put all of the batter in. We're just going to put about 2/3 of it. All right. And we're going to spread that around. Then if Brianna would like to get the pan with the caramel in it off the stove, we'll add the caramel. And this is what's going to make them really ooey gooey. All right, would you like to get another rubber scraper for me, please?
Okay.
Sure. Oh, that caramel really set up nice. You could just eat this. We're gonna take the caramel and we're just gonna put some little dollops all over the top of these brownies. You see how nice and thick that got? It is beautiful.
Are we gonna have any leftovers?
Oh, I could probably leave you a taste.
Yes, please.
You gotta say that louder. You wanna make sure that every bite of brownie has some caramel in it, so we'll get some over in the corners. There you go. So once we got all the caramel in, just in nice big chunks, and that'll melt down and kind of level out, we're gonna add the rest of this brownie batter over the top. And it might not cover all of the caramel, it may peek through a little bit when it bakes. We'll just gently kind of spread it around. And if you notice, there's a parchment tab sticking up out of this pan. These were pre-cut parchment papers that fit the pan, and it leaves a little handle so once the brownies are baked, it'll assist in removing them so we can cut them really nice. So it's now going to go in an oven that's 350 degrees on regular bake. I'm gonna bake it on convection bake, and I have to set my oven at 325. So we'll set this into the preheated oven. There we go. And in about 30 minutes, we'll have a ooey gooey caramel brownie. And when it comes out of the oven, we're going to put some chocolate bars on top to let them melt, so it will have like a little frosting, but it's just gonna be a Hershey type candy bar. All right, the brownies have come out of the oven, and we're going to lay some chocolate bars on the top and let that warm from the heat of the oven, and then we'll spread it around. And while we're letting that heat up from the brownies, we're gonna chop up some peanuts that we'll sprinkle on top of that. So we've got the chocolate on there, and we'll just let it sit for a couple minutes. And we've got 2/3 cup of peanuts, and I'm gonna let her chop those up real fine. Not super fine, just kind of fine. There you go. Maybe I put too many on there, huh? Okay, that's good. We don't want them powder,
Okay.
just chunks. All right, let you put some more on there.
I don't know if we'll fit them all, but
Just do part of them and then do the other part, I guess. That's pretty good. There's one that didn't get chopped. Got a few on the counter.
oops.
We'll just put them here for a minute. And I'm gonna grab a little knife out of the drawer. Should have had one of my other knives out, but they're melting. You can see them getting soft. Not quite there yet, but once they're real soft, we'll spread them around, and that'll make a nice little topping for the brownies. Oh, there we go. Look how they spread. And I just put 3 chocolate bars on top, broke them up a little bit. Get that really even on there. All right, and then you want to sprinkle peanuts on top? There's a lot of peanuts here, not enough chocolate to stick them to. So I'm sure they'll fall off once we cut them open. All right, there we go. Look how nice that spread on there. So we're gonna lift these brownies out of the pan. And I'm gonna go around the edge just to make sure that they're all loose. We don't want anything sticking if we don't have to. It's not lifting very good right there. Whoa. Just came apart. All right, we're gonna let them cool a little bit longer sitting here, and then we'll be able to cut. Well, we got our brownie out of the pan, but it took a little hit when we did. I think the caramel was still a little too soft being baked in the oven, so we're gonna cut some and see what it looks like. And it's pretty soft. Beautiful. Get one of those out of here. Oh goodness. You can see the caramel layer, you can see the peanuts, you can see the chocolate, you can see the brownie. Boy, does that look good. Get another piece out here. It's kind of like a molten lava cake with that caramel in there. I'll let Brianna try it. I think she's gonna need a fork.
That's really good.
And how good is it?
Like, really a lot better than I thought it would be.
Okay. Thank you for joining me on My Life of Baking. I'm Nadine Whitehead, and I really enjoyed making the brownies today with you. We'll see you next time